Hello everyone and welcome back. This is your boy Ryan back with some league start ideas as well as one of my own league starter for the Sanctum expansion for Path of Exile 3.20. For this expansion, I want to bring back an old minion from the dead, one of my favorites of all time, the Syndicate Operative Spectre, and we're going to play a poison variant of this old legend. Back in time, this was the go-to minion build for mostly everyone who played Spectres, and then it got multi-nerfed to the point where it became completely useless. Well, fear not, because with the recent changes to Necromancer Ascendancy, this can once again be brought back to light with some very cheap and forgotten uniques, which should be very accessible even at day one of launch. Also, this build can function without uniques as well, and you can pretty much substitute everything with rare gears, and so this is going to be a very friendly league starter. Now, the footage you see was recorded during 3.19 on a 4 link without damage gems on T5, 7 and T9 maps. While low level mapping is extremely easy, T7 and onwards was a bit slower on a 4 link with 0 offensive gears. But with proper investment, this build comfortably gets around 1 million plus DPS and a very easy and chill and relaxing gameplay without the hassle of clicking too many skills. In comparison to something like a meta build, which is like Poison Seismic Trapper or something like a Cold Dot, this is going to be very less of a hassle on your hands. But the DPS is going to be slightly lower than something like a boss killer and a content rusher. But if you're not in a rush to achieve everything on your first 3 days of the league, then this can be an amazing starting build. With that, let's get into the build guide and into the POB, and once the POB is updated for 3.20, I will repost the POB link with updates as necessary. Since we are getting some curse and ailment changes, I will look into those nodes if they are nearby to my pathing. I will try to squeeze some curse effects and other things that are good inside, and maybe cut down on some damage or life in here and there, but mostly the POB that I will be posting here is going to stay the same, and you are going to be following mostly the POB that I submit here. Also, another thing is, if this build for some reason is incapable of doing endgame bossing, then you can comfortably farm lower tier maps, get some currency, and switch into something very meta like a golem build, and you are gonna be again back into the action, which I don't think is going to be something to like worry about. Like, the damage seems really nice even on like no gears and everything trash. So for investment and invested gear, this should be extremely good. And also at least I have some hopes that this is going to be really good for mapping as well as comfortable bossing. Okay, let's get into the POB and discuss the build idea. Okay, so now we are in the POB section of the Poison Spectre build. So let me explain a bit of this build with the skills first. I have listed the early game skills over here. I have disabled them because you're just gonna be following one after the other. I'm gonna go over them in a bit, but let's talk about the end game skill and links first. We're gonna be going with Race Spectre. This is going to be our body armor 6 link skill. We're gonna be using Race Spectre with Phantasm, greater multiple projectile, unbound ailments, added chaos damage, and vicious projectile until we are set up with our darkness enthroned and poison chance being capped at a comfortable 95% and above. We are going to be using chance to poison support for our main link, but after we have our poison chance capped, we are going to be replacing that with vicious projectile. Okay, this slot I did another one because the POB doesn't calculate the Phantasm damage and Race Spectre damage separately, so I had to input it separately. We have and 800k damage, poison damage with only our Spectres. If we enable this in our full damage, we literally get the double damage. So we are disabling it. Even without it, we have close to 100k damage on bosses. This is, of course, without any awakened gems, any quality, any level 21 gems, and everything else. For our secondary minions, we have Summon Skeletons and Stone Golem. We link it with Feeding Frenzy and Unbound Ailments. This can have other setups, I mean other gem, but I think Unbound Ailments will be the best. If I can think of something else like Withering Touch and something else, if I experiment with it, and if I see something better than this, I will surely replace it in the final POB that I will be posting once the 3.20 POB update arrives. We also don't have Vaal Summon Skeletons enabled. For bossing, we will always have Vaal Summon Skeletons up. If we turn this on, we get another 600k damage. Easy damage. Okay. For our weapon, we are going to have a trigger wand. We're going to have Desecrate, Bone Offering linked with Life Tap. Make sure Desecrate is at level 1, Bone Offering at 20, and then Life Tap at somewhere around 2 or level 2 or 3. Also triggered them in this specific order on our wand. Desecrate as the first skill, then Bone Offering, and then Life Tap, because trigger wand triggers these skills in order they are set up. So we want Desecrate first to generate our corpse, and then Bone Offering to consume them for the buff. Okay. On our weapon 2, this is going to be our shield. We have our auras, Malevolence, Determination, and Tempest Shield. Malevolence as our only offensive aura, Determination for our only defensive aura, and Tempest Shield to cap our block. Okay, then on the boots, we have Wither, Spell Totem, and Multi Totem. These are going to be the 3 things that are linked. And then on the 4th separate link, we have Flame Dash. Make sure you don't have Flame Dash linked with Spell Totem and Multi Totem. That way, if you have it linked, the Flame Dash linked with totems, then you will not be able to cast your Flame Dash for movement skill. So keep this in a separate link or single link. For our gloves, we have our utility skills with Despair and Convocation. Despair as our only curse, and then Convocation is going to be the one that is gonna bring our minions to us. This is for controlling the minions differently or efficiently, that is. And we have our cast and damage taken, Molten Shell for necessary moments so that we don't get one shot every now and then. Elemental Aegis comes from the unique shield, so don't worry about that too much. And then I did include Vaal Haste in there, because if we enable Vaal Haste and enable it, we get a lot of damage. If I manage to get this in, because minion builds are like socket starved, I wanted to use this build, and I wanted to make sure that we don't have to use any unset rings. If we do get a chance and get an unset ring, I think Vaal Haste is gonna be a good addition to the build. But we're not gonna be using the haste aura. We're just gonna be using the Vaal portion of the haste skill to give our minions a temporary attack boost. And that's going to be all. We are done with the skill setup. Let's go over the items. This is going to be our item. The core item is going to be Darkness Enthroned. Very, very mandatory. We want to get this as soon as possible, along with Ghastly Eye Jewels with minions having chance to poison. 15% is going to be ideal, because we want 2 of them in our Stygian Vice or our belt, and then 3 more, or at least 2 more, to get our poison chance up to 85% plus. That way we can drop our chance to poison support from our main link, and then we can use Vicious Projectile. 3 will be enough to get us to like 97%, which is completely okay. This boots Bones of Uldur. This is early game boot, but I do believe we don't need to use it because this boot comes online for the +1 level of Race Spectre only when your Race Spectre gets to level 25. And to do that, you need +2 helmet, a +1 wand, and a +1 boot with a level 21 Spectre gem. So by the time you get a level 21 Spectre gem, a +1 wand with Triggercraft, plus a +2 helmet, you will probably have enough currency to buy a rare boot with +1 level of Race Spectre, a rare boot which is going to be infinitely better than the Jinx Juju. If not, you can use it. Otherwise, a rare boot is going to be fine. For the amulet, I use the Jinx Juju. Oh, excuse me. I said Jinx Juju for our boots, but no, Bones of Uluru for the boots. For the amulet, where I did enlist Jinx Juju, but you can replace this with any rare amulet if you need to for life, resistances, and any kind of attribute. Make sure you get Citrine amulet for the strength and dexterity, because we do need to cap out at 159 strength and 111 dexterity. The rest of the gear is going to be rare. For the shield, I did enlist Magna Eclipse. This shield is amazing. This gives us the elemental ages. This is a huge elemental hit portion or elemental defense coming from the shield skill alone. Plus, it gives +2 level of socketed gems. We socket in our auras in this to give them another good boost. Plus, this gives life as well as what, 1.6k armor. We have no body armor, no gloves, and we still are sitting at 14k armor with 70% fizz damage reduction. This shield is just amazing. For our wand, we want a convoking wand with +1 to all spell skill, plus a open suffix to craft the trigger socketed spell when you use a skill. And for the helmet, I did enlist a bone helmet with +1 minion skill, but your job is going to be to get a +2 helmet as fast as you can. And then the rest of the gears, the rest of the slots of the gear is going to be filled out with life and resistance capping. Okay, that is going to be mostly it for the items. Now let's take a look on the passive tree. This time around, I did do a multiple passive trees, like starting from as early as level 13. This is going to be your starter setup. You get the life node here, the Lord of the Dead node for the extra damage, and +1 skeleton zombie level over here. And you get the enduring bond over here for the minion offense mastery, and you get minions at 25% chance to gain unholy might for 4 seconds on kill. This is going to be very, very necessary in the early game to clear out through the campaign fast enough until you get the Necromancer Ascendancy on Unnatural Strength. Once you get this, you can respec this out. Okay, this is going to be our starting setup. Then in the early game, we're gonna branch off to the left side, grab the Spiritual Command and Sacrifice, as well as Retribution and Discipline and Training for some life, some minion damage, minion life, and all that good stuff. We're gonna path through here and grab Death Attunement next for the extra Spectre, zombies, and skeletons. Then after that, in the mid game, we're gonna go left side for the Aura Reservation Masteries, and of course some life and more minion damage nodes. Also, during this time, you should be able to go and do first lab. And once you get your first lab, I recommend going for Commander of Darkness, because this gives a +30% to all Elires, which is very, very nice to cap your early game elemental resistances. If you want more damage though, you can go for Mindless Aggression and Unnatural Strength first, but I highly recommend you go for Commander of Darkness first. This is going to make going through the acts very, very easy and safe. For the late game, we're gonna be filling up for the tree. We're gonna grab life, we're gonna grab more life and fill out the tree, as well as grabbing more damage in Grape Pack. But once we are done with this mid-game tree, and we are approaching late game, the first thing we want to do is grab the Grave Pact and the Combat Stamina node over here, along with the Mastery for Determination, Mana Reservation Efficiency. This way we can turn on Determination and Malevolence pretty early, along with Tempest Shield. Also, we want to grab the corruption nodes somewhere around this time, because we are going to be setting up for the Wither pretty early, because Wither is a very massive portion of our damage. And then finally we have a pathing change. In the late game, we're gonna path through this portion of the tree and connect the left side with our passive tree, and we're going to respec these 2 points over here. Also, we're going to grab a lot of shield defense nodes and then a lot of life, fill out our jewel sockets to fill them up with ghastly eye jewels. I also kept these 2 passive nodes, or these 2 jewel sockets, separate, because if you want to socket in some unique jewels, like there is a unique jewel over here that you can socket in over here for extra life, or you can just fill them up with ghastly eye jewels and it's gonna be completely a-okay. And then we also have a cluster setup, but this is not very important. The only thing that you get out of cluster is 2 more jewel sockets to socket in Quickening Covenant and Fortress Covenant on the slot. And for the large cluster, you don't need any passive. You can just go for a 8 passive or 12 passive, depending on how many points you have to spare. You can go for any cluster with lots of minion stats on it, and that is going to be the most efficient way of getting damage. So we have 2 setups, a non-cluster and a cluster. The non-cluster setup allows you to go max block with Rumi's Concoction enabled, and the cluster setup allows you to get more damage, but you will be a bit low on block. Like, you're going to be block capped on attack, but your spell block is going to be at 68%. Nevertheless, it is not a hardcore build, so I don't think this is going to matter too much, because most of things will be dying before they can reach you, and our defenses are looking pretty good with capped out block, something like 17k armor and molten shell and everything else. That is without other gears as well. So once we get those, it's gonna be pretty good of a game. Now, let's talk about some masteries. We have a Chaos Mastery with increased effect of Wither. As I said, withering is very important, so Wither effect is going to be very good. Other masteries, we have a Shield Mastery with 1% chance to block attack damage per 5% on equip shield. We also have the Reservation Mastery for 10% increased effect on us. We have a Life Mastery with regenerating 2% life per second while moving and 50 plus life. Also, an Offense Mastery is going to be 250 accuracy rating, plus increased effect of offerings over here. For the Defensive Mastery, we have minions recovering 5% life on death for minion death. This is especially useful because we have a lot of temporary minions like phantasms and skeletons who are going to die after a few time or few seconds, and then that is going to recover HP for our permanent minions. That is going to be it for mostly the passive tree. I don't see anything else over here. Oh, the Ascendancy. The order of Ascendancy I follow is Commander of Darkness, then Mindless Aggression, and then Unnatural Strength, and finally on the 4th lab is going to be Mistress of Sacrifice. That is going to be it mostly. I also listed all the early game skills over here. I will make some more tweaks on it before posting, so it's going to be even more detailed. And that is going to be the conclusion, and I think that is where I will end this video guide. Make sure that you post any suggestions or any questions. If you have them, make sure you comment down. I will try to answer each and every one of you. And if you like the video, please share it to your friends so that this channel can grow. I am hoping to reach more subscribers and grow the channel. and it really uh, gives me more encouragement to make even more videos like this. Also, this league is looking pretty nice, and minion builds are looking actually the same because there is no nerf. They are looking pretty good, especially for the league mechanic that is going on, because you're going to have something like a resolve. So you have a limited amount of hits that you can take inside the sanctum before it runs out. So having minions who can tank hits for you should be a good thing to uh, have, I guess. So I think minions are gonna be pretty good for the league mechanic itself. So with that said, this is gonna be end of the video guide, and I'll catch you guys later with an update after like day 1, and then we'll do a in-game video guide with all the gears and how I crafted them, or if I bought them or not. Things like the gloves and helmets are good crafts to achieve earlier. So with that said, this is going to be the end of the video, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.